I want to talk about expectations management, folks, specifically in the realm of this diet and exercise thing, because a lot of times we feel like we deserve a certain result, but we don't get what we think we deserve. We get cause and effect. Now, this isn't one of those trite, like your feelings don't matter type videos. No. Your feelings absolutely do matter. However, this is more a discussion on how your individual psychology can significantly hamper the actual execution of the best laid plans that you have on paper. There's probably no better way to illustrate this than with the binge restrict cycle that a lot of us get into when we first start this whole diet exercise thing. Depending on the individual and our own circumstances, we hop on this merry-go-round at various points. Some of us, it's right after a binge. Some of us, it's mid that guilty feeling. Some of us, it's halfway through a phase of restriction or during the struggle. In any case, that's kind of how the merry-go-round goes around. Restrict, struggle, binge, feel guilty. However, what we can see from looking at each phase of the cycle, the effect is clear, a negative feedback loop of feelings, but what's the cause? The restriction. Now, a restriction is necessary to get our desired results, but what I'm trying to get at here, folks, is that it's the pendulum swing. It's the massive restriction that imposes that negative feedback. It's that dopaminergic drive for immediate gratification that pushes us into making poor decisions for things where long-term, structured, sustainable approaches are where you get the lion's share of your results. I was thinking about this a lot this morning as I hit a major PR and a massive milestone in my conditioning training that's taken me almost 3 years to achieve, and it would not have been possible if I had not denied myself significant immediate gratification by taking an unstructured approach to my training and just kind of doing whatever I felt like, or doing too much too soon because it just felt like the thing to do. I say it a million times, folks, biology is action over time. So even if you have the best, most squared away, for sure, 100% guaranteed gonna work plan, you still gotta take it step by step. So with that in mind, I wanna talk about the two major ways that I've seen in the past almost 30 years of training that either individually or combined together completely derail people from long-term progress. And many of you listening have probably experienced one or both of these yourself. Let's address the obvious one first, and that's overeating. But I'm not specifically talking about overeating in general here. I'm talking about overeating after you're done training because, quote unquote, you deserve it. I did blank today, so I deserve blank food, become the famous last words of many people's diet and exercise program. I say diet and exercise because a lot of people, once they fall off the wagon with their diet, just kind of fall off the wagon with the exercise part too, because they consider them kind of part and parcel with each other. And that goes into the greater discussion of not having your activity and your nutrition as a holistic component of your day-to-day life, but instead having it as something over there that you do a couple times a week or specifically in a short block of time for X goal, like you have a vacation or a wedding or a photo or whatever, and then you stop. But that's a separate discussion for another time. Specifically to the overeating after training, it's insidious because we do this almost childlike mental gymnastics, mental mathematics, where we associate an intangible with another intangible, and then we just kind of round up to favor our desires. So here's an example. You've probably seen or maybe even been this person yourself. So the individual is a couple weeks into their diet and exercise program. They've imposed some form of caloric restriction and they're doing a 45-minute grinder on the elliptical. They hop on, set the time, and go. They're not tracking wattage, they're not tracking intensity, they're just tracking total time, and at the end of 45 minutes, they got a pretty decent sweat. They conclude from the duration of activity and the amount that they're sweating that they deserve to eat more than they've been under regular circumstances. That's not entirely untrue. However, we don't have any quantifiable means of determining how much more is. here's where we run into problems. We feel like we deserve more. And you know what? Maybe you do, according to society or culture or your own personal beliefs or whatever. But biology doesn't care about any of that. Biology is going to say, okay, here's what you need to get back to baseline. Here's what is a deficit, and here's what is a surplus. If you're training for a specific purpose, if you're training to a specific end, whether that's improving your VO2 max, improving your health markers, reduction in adiposity, getting stronger, gaining more muscle mass, there are blocks you have to check in order for those things to happen. It's a simple cause-effect relationship. Now, what you deserve, depending on where it falls in the spectrum of beneficial to deleterious, will yield an entirely predictable result that you're going to have to deal with whether you want to or not. This is why I always tell people it's very important to address your psychology on the front end so you can figure out those things that you feel like you deserve, but also fall on the beneficial side of the spectrum so that it doesn't derail you from the overall objective of what you're trying to accomplish. Which dovetails nicely into the second thing, kind of on the opposite end of the immediate gratification spectrum. This is less of the comfort dopamine hit, but more of the achievement side of dopamine hits, which is going for a PR after a PR, having to add 5 more pounds when you just hit a PR, having to do 1 more rep when you already hit a PR on the last rep. They don't have it on this chart, but for those of you that know, it feels so good to finally get that PR, that goal that you've been working towards for so long. As soon as those dopamine levels start to drop, you get that sensation like, I'm gonna take another one. Like the I deserve thing with overeating, instead of thinking, we feel our way into a poor decision that can potentially lead to an overuse injury or even Snap City. And it certainly doesn't lead to progress. This is a whole basis of periodization, folks. You crush a PR, recover, reassess, build capacity. Crush a PR, recover, reassess, build capacity. There's a reason why nature's made it so that our comfort as well as our sense of accomplishment are driven by dopamine. You got to figure on the one hand that I deserve to eat whatever after training is designed to push you towards more effective recovery means. That like, yeah, I crushed a PR, I'm awesome, like, let me do it again type feeling. That's designed to make you take bigger and harder challenges so that you can improve and become a more successful organism faster. But you have to manage expectations, folks, to yourself. And it's no different than running a project or a business. You have a plan, you implement the plan, communicate with yourself and or your coach along the way, under promise, over deliver, and set reasonable expectations for yourself. Now, it's not up to me or anyone else to determine or make value judgments on what you do or don't deserve. What I can tell you for sure is what you're going to get, and that's cause and effect. Thanks for watching.